In 2009, Karna Maya Mongor arrived in the United States as a refugee from Nepal. Pregnant and struggling financially, she chose to have an abortion, but she died at the clinic of Dr. Kermit Gosnell, whose team administered an excessive amount of a cheap sedative. Shockingly, when the clinic informed the Department of Health of her death, the fax was received and then passed up to two women leaders who decided to do nothing. And the department's attorneys told the woman who received the fax to keep silent, and then she told the clinic nurse to do the same. 17 years before this, the health inspector found that Dr. Gosnell's clinic was unsanitary, but did not report it. And the National Abortion Federation would also not certify the clinic, but didn't do anything to report its problems. Gosnell has since been sentenced to life in prison for Mongar's death and for the murders of babies who survived abortions. And the grand jury report said this: Gosnell left dozens of damaged women in his wake. His reckless treatment left them infected, sterilized, permanently maimed, close to death, and in at least 2 cases, dead. The point of this story is that Dr. Gosnell and his wife and his team, the state authorities and abortion regulators, they all participated in a cover-up, multiple cover-ups, because access to abortion was more important than women's health. And that's not what we would expect from people who are pro-choice and want to help women. Today is the second of our 4-part pro-life series, and this year's theme is the culture of life as opposed to the culture of death. And today our goal is just to try to show how the contraceptive mentality has led to a devaluing of life, and it's led to more abortions, not less, and how abortions have hurt women, not helped, and finally, how in vitro fertilization flows from this lack of respect for life. Now, please remember, whenever we talk about these issues, the point is not to discourage. So a lot of us have never known that these could be sins. We don't know why they might be sins. So no discouragement today. We just want to seek truth and love. And we remember that we always go to Jesus confidently for his forgiveness because he loves us. And he wants to forgive all of our sins, take away all of our guilt. The gospel is about the Beatitudes, in which Jesus reverses worldly expectations. He says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth." So those who trust in God, who hate sin and who are humble, they're going to be blessed and they're going to be really happy. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, he criticized this teaching. He said that we don't want the kingdom of heaven, we want the kingdom of earth. And he also thought that this teaching in particular, he criticized it because he said this is for the weak and incompetent. And since they fail in life, they use this to bless their failures, to justify the fact that they can't make it in life. And they use this teaching to curse the strong. So 2 historical examples might help us understand Jesus' perspective, Nietzsche's perspective. In the 20th century, atheistic socialism said that there is no God. And they promised there would be no more hunger, so everyone would have enough food. So the thought behind that is, okay, there's no afterlife, and because of that, we have to focus on this earth. And because we're focusing on this earth, we'll take care of everyone here. And the accusation against Christians is that we believe in heaven, and so we don't do enough to help people here on earth. But what actually happened in history, since the socialists didn't believe in the afterlife, they lost a sense of the value of human life. And so that led to hundreds of millions of murders. Second example is Jesus himself. So he has no money, he has no military resources. In terms of worldly power, he's super weak. But it turns out that he's done the most good in history. It's because of him that we recognize humans are made in the image of God. They're sacred. It's because of him that we have hospitals and education for the masses, and because of him that Christians try to love the poor. In 1968, Pope St. Paul VI, he reaffirmed Catholic teaching that contraception is gravely immoral. And at the time, a lot of Catholics were disagreeing with him, and the world was saying contraception will be good for women because it will allow them to choose when they get pregnant. But he predicted that contraception would make us see women more as objects. And one example of that is hormonal contraceptives. In this screenshot from the United Kingdom's National Health Service website, sorry you can't see all of them, but there's 15 and 12 of them are for women. And so a question we ask is, why are most contraceptive methods for women? Why aren't they developing more for men? Something to think about, we can try and answer in the future. But just for now, we can ponder, why does our society tolerate that women have to take invasive treatments? A doctor wrote me, he said, hormonal birth control is associated with higher risk of depression, with highest risk in adolescence. There is a 50% relative increased risk. And he said, it's associated with a relative 2- to 3-fold increased risk of suicide attempt, again, higher in adolescence. And he provided me with the links to the National Library of Medicine. I'll have them on my blog. So wouldn't it be better if husbands try to support their wives and say something like, I love you, I don't want you to take anything that would hurt your body. So one good thing about God's teaching on sexuality is that it respects a woman's body. It's completely natural, but it does require a lot of self-control. Most people don't know that in the United States in 2023, 63% of abortions are done through the abortion pill. In the following video, which is not graphic, we're going to see how the pill not only kills a person, but it also has adverse health effects for women. But do notice the hope at the end.
My name is Dr. Noreen Johnson. I'm a board-certified obstetrician gynecologist with 44 years of experience, and I've completed over 1,000 abortions. Today, I'm going to explain how the abortion pill works, which has been approved by the FDA to be taken up to the 10th week of pregnancy, although many abortion facilities use the pill off-label for weeks after that. The abortion pill regimen consists of 2 steps. Step 1. At the abortion facility or at home, the woman swallows mifepristone pills. Mifepristone blocks the action of a hormone called progesterone. Progesterone is naturally produced in the mother's body to stabilize the lining of the uterus. When mifepristone blocks progesterone, the lining of the mother's uterus breaks down, cutting off oxygen and vital nutrients to the embryo, who then dies inside the mother's womb. It is important to note that even after it has been taken, it is possible to stop the effects of the mifepristone and save the embryo if progesterone is administered. If the woman wants to stop the effects of the mifepristone, she needs progesterone as soon as possible. Step 2. 24 to 48 hours after taking mifepristone, the woman takes misoprostol by placing the pills in her cheeks. She will experience severe cramping, contractions, and heavy bleeding to force the dead embryo out of her uterus. The process can be very intense and painful, and the bleeding contractions can last from a few hours to several days. Bleeding lasts on average 9 to 16 days. 8% of women bleed more than 30 days, and 0.5% require hospitalization because of heavy bleeding. The failure rate increases as the pregnancy progresses. At 8 weeks or less, the failure rate is 2 to 6%. At 8 or 9 weeks, the failure rate is 4 to 6%. At 9 to 10 weeks, the failure rate is 7 to 9%. At 10 to 11 weeks, the failure rate is 13%. For the mother, abortion pills often cause abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, headache, and heavy bleeding. Maternal deaths have occurred, most frequently due to infection and undiagnosed ectopic pregnancy. As I mentioned in the beginning, I used to perform abortions. At the time, I truly believed I was helping women. I initially stopped doing abortions to save my reputation. I was becoming known as a town abortionist, and I didn't want that. Later, however, I came to recognize the inherent value and dignity of all human life. That's when I truly saw the ugliness of abortion. Now I am a pro-life advocate. I am proof that anyone can change, no matter who they are or what they have done. I invite you to join me and make a decision to protect the preborn. Thank you.
St. John Paul II, he said that contraception and abortion are fruits of the same tree because they have a similar mentality. The mentality is, I don't want to accept responsibility for children. So we see children, they're an obstacle to my happiness. If I have some, they're going to prevent me from being happy. Now, for the culture of life, we admit children can be very demanding, and they can completely overwhelm us. But because they're a gift, we accept them. In 1992, the US Supreme Court said that people, for 2 decades, have organized intimate relationships in reliance on the availability of abortion in the event that contraception should fail. So the idea is that abortion is backup contraception. And this brings us to in vitro fertilization. We talked about this 2 years ago. And the question we asked was, do parents have a right to a child? So let's stop and think about it. So a right means we deserve it, we can demand it. So we have a right to life, we have a right to free speech. We are entitled to those rights. Do parents have a right to children? And the answer is no, because that would mean they are an object, not a subject. They are persons. This is why slavery is wrong, because another person possesses that person. For decades, contraception has taught us to think, I don't want children. And then abortion has taught us to think, if I'm not ready, I can terminate that child. And now in vitro fertilization teaches us, I want a child, so I can make one. In vitro fertilization specialists, they choose which embryos are fit to survive, which will be experimented on, and which will be frozen. Couples can rank embryos based on genetic predictions of IQ, height, and health. So some parents will choose between a Deacon Andrew embryo and me. And the truth is, both children should be welcomed. Many parents will not accept an embryo with a serious defect because they paid money for a healthy baby. The baby's part of a transaction. The mentality of seeing babies as commodities, it is part of why there are fewer children with Down syndrome. And in India and China, fewer female babies because they're aborted. And to bring this back to women, surrogacy uses a woman's body as an object. She's paid money to carry a child for the sake of someone else. And as we talked about 2 years ago, you can pay poorer women in India because they give a cheaper price. Jesus says today, blessed are those who hunger for righteousness, for they will be filled. Here now is a video explaining our 40 Days for Life prayer vigil.
Hello everyone, my name is Erica and I'm a parishioner here at St. Anthony of Padua and a participant in 40 Days for Life. My history with 40 Days for Life, I've been coming for a few years, and I guess my younger self would have scoffed at the idea of standing here and praying without, engaging in debate or meaningful conversation. But now that I understand the power of prayer, coming to gather and pray the rosary is the most spiritual weapon we have, and when we pray it together, it's even more powerful. It's incredible. So I keep coming back to 40 Days for Life for a few different reasons. Number one, it challenges me to be courageous, to stand in front of a secular world against something that's so widely accepted, to be courageous to pray in front of people, and it challenges me to have fortitude. It also enables me to, sometimes when I'm able to bring my kids, it gives them a chance to witness something that is selfless and that we take the time to do something good and to be part of. Also, on occasion, if somebody makes a comment or perhaps something happens that's unsettling, it's rewarding in a way because it gives us this teeny little bit of suffering. We're embarrassed or we're humiliated, and all of a sudden we have something to place on the cross with Jesus, for the abortionists or for the unborn babies. An hour at the site can look different depending on the group that you're joining. Usually we all arrive and we help ourselves to a booklet, and one person will take a leadership role to choose the prayers that we're going to pray together. Once everyone has their sign and their book, we begin praying. God is so good, and there's already been so many different stories of conversions, of healings, of abortion survivors, and doctors who have left the industry. So please, make the effort to come, make the sacrifice. It's absolutely worth it. I look forward to seeing you out here. If you have 1 hour, 2, 5, or 10, please join us.
We have sign-up cards in your pews, and we've got 3 weeks to sign up. So if you're able to write down today or in the next few weeks, you can put the signed cards into the collection basket or to give it to the hospitality team. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you, everyone. And please don't forget, as mentioned, we are going to show what abortion is really like, what it really does. Next week, we're going to use graphic photos. So this is a notification for anyone who doesn't want to see it, or if you don't want your children to see it, feel free to close your eyes, or let's say have your children look down. And if you want, you could always go to another parish. Let's finish with another reversal of expectations. For years, people have said that if abortion is made illegal, women will start seeking back alley abortions. And they said that is what led to 5,000 deaths of women every year before abortion was made legal. But in 2021, when Texas outlawed abortion, once a baby's heartbeat could be detected, abortions did not go up because Pregnancy Resource Center stepped up to help the women, and the state gave $100 million in support. The call volume went up by 30%. The number of ultrasounds went up by 100%. And similarly in Mexico, El Salvador, Chile, Poland, Nicaragua, when laws have stopped abortion or more abortions, the health of mothers statistically has improved. And it should be known that the figure of 5,000 maternal deaths and back alley abortions was never true. Even the Washington Post has admitted this. So the culture of life is better for babies and for women.